Today, I have with me Dr. Athanasios Potsis. He is the president of the Hellenic Industrial Space Association. Thank you, Dr. Potsis, for joining us today.
I you explain to you about the activities that we have here in Greece related to space.
Tell us a few words about the Hellenic Association of Space Industry. How did we suddenly start talking about space technology in Greece in recent years? And what is your role in this? What is your contribution?
First of all, I'm glad because this year we celebrate the 15th year anniversary of the Hellenic Association of Space Industry. So before explaining to you about our association, I would like to make a small introduction about space activities in Greece. So everybody is aligned and understands how we build the whole ecosystem and what was the effort took for the past years. So I would dare to say that the T0 space activity in Greece was back in 2005, where Greece decided to become the 16th full member of the European Space Agency. So that was the trigger that initiated all the organized activities related to space technology and space research in Greece. Of course, we had a lot of activities related to space technologies, mainly on research from the academia before 2005. But when Greece decided to become the 16th full member of the European Space Agency, we had to contribute with actual money based on the Greek national GDP in the European Union space budget. Okay, so this means that the Greek government participating to ESA budget, we had to contribute on specific space initiatives. This means that according to the European Space Agency planning, the Greek academia and industry will be invited, was invited that time in order to join the open calls on specific activities related to space initiative. Obviously, you understand that the first 5 years they were not very successful. Why? Because the Greek industry were not organized enough. So you know that the European Space Agency, for the member states that they start participating, they have a specific monitoring, progress monitoring plan. So after the first 2 years, they realized that they had to do something in order to organize the Greek ecosystem in a way that they would be able to absorb the amount of money that Greece was participating in Israel. So we were approached by European Space Agency managers during an annual conference, and they told us, listen, you are losing money here. You have to do something because mainly the national participation is not to do science, is to support the European Space Agency space mission. So in order for you to make sense your investment in the European Space Agency, you have to organize your ecosystem in a way that you will be able to advise your government on the capabilities and the performance of the Greek space industry in order to jointly plan and participate successfully on specific ESA programs. So we went back and we start looking inside our ecosystem. We start working and organizing a core of Greek space industries that they already had some small experience through the participation of the European Space Agency program. That core was approximately 7 to 8 industries that then became the core of the association. So we formed the association based on the experience and using the experience on the know-how of this specific core of the industries. And then we will start looking on adjacent technological areas like the defense, the Greek defense industry, the ICT industry, the logistics industry, the software development, the ICT, everything that was related, the navigation industry. So we had a lot of work to do in order to organize and to inform and to be aware, to aware the other industries about the opportunity that we have with this. So working step by step, we managed to, first of all, to convince the Greek government that this is a booming market. There is a lot of interest. And there is a huge effort already taken for the past years in order to organize the whole plan. And now we have to grow mainly on the ecosystem and the amount of money that we put in it. we work a lot for the past years. And you know that Greece went through 10 years of financial crisis, that it was very difficult even for the government to pay the participation amount of money to the European Space Agency. Not let aside the amount of money that we really wanted to invest on the optional programs, but even the mandatory programs participation in the European Space Agency was very difficult. So we went through successfully through this process, and now I'm glad to announce that we have an ecosystem of 54 SMEs, healthy SMEs here in Greece. We have more than 2,500 engineers, science, and experts working in the space industry in Greece. And last year we had a turnover of 280 million euros of this specific industrial ecosystem here in Greece. So this is what we are doing. This is what we are. I'm the president of the Hellenic Association of the Space Industry since the first day. So I think I'm a little bit close to retire already because, I don't want to be more than 15 years the president of the association. And it looks like that we are in a very good point at the moment in order to present a mature ecosystem that is ready to take the next big step.
So that was a long story, a long journey, actually, a long journey. You have going through a lot of phases or different phases, but at least right now, as you said, we have a really solid Greek space ecosystem to start working and move on. Am I right?
Yes. And not only that, if you allow me to say that we did not pay attention only on our industrial work as the association, the League Association Space Industry, but we realized that in order for us to have high chances to develop, to grow, we had to take care of the additional elements that an ecosystem needs in order to have a complete plan. For example, we realized that we need to have young people working with fresh ideas in space business. So we started the European Space Agency Business Incubator Center program, the big, is a big, and it took us 5 years to convince the Greek government to invest money and develop here in Greece the first Greek business incubator center for space. And we did it. So we have now in Greek is a big system center that is operating for the past 2.5 years successfully. The target is that in 7 years to develop at least 5 SMEs, not to develop, but to evaluate and finance and support to grow at least 5 startups working in space. So in total, in 7 years, the target is to have 35, to support at least 35 startup ideas for space. And this is going really great. The second big step for us was to bring together these two worlds, as we say, the academia and the scientific and research world with the industry. This is not the case in other countries, but here in Greece, it was mission impossible to bring these two worlds working together on a common target. For example, the academia and the industry did not have a single joint program a few years ago for space. So we developed a specialized program that we call the Space Cluster, the SI Cluster, the Space Industry Cluster, that we brought together the academia and industry, and we used European Union funds in order to finance joint collaborative programs, national interest, not ESA, to strengthen and foster the cooperation between the industry and the academia and build the bonds between these two worlds. If you ask me, that was our greatest success that we had for the past 15 years. So that was the second big element of our ecosystem. The third, of course, is the association of the industry that I told you. And then we had to organize not we, but we had to consult with the government and explain to the Greek government how to deal with the space activities. A few years ago, actually when Greece became the 16th full member of the European Space Agency, space-related activities were managed through the Ministry of Education. So you can understand that it was not very easy for us as industry and innovative industry to go under a program and the officers that they know how to support the academia and the schools here in Greece. Okay. So after many years, very difficult years, the Greek government decided to move all the space activities to a new ministry, the Ministry of Digital Governance, that this ministry took care of all the innovation and the reshuffle and the replanning of the activities related to the governmental in digitization policy. And for us, that was great news, okay, because we had the new minister, we had the vice minister, we had the general secretariat that had the whole portfolio of space activities. The last element was the inauguration of the Hellenic Space Center, an entity, a governmental entity here in Greece that is responsible for the space strategy. They should see the overall picture, talking about academia, industry, national needs, Ministry of Defense, national security, environmental disaster challenges that we have now due to climate change and civil protection activities. You know, where that space has a lot of influence and a lot of applications to give. So they have to have the whole strategy and advise the government about our next steps, next 5 to 10 years. And this is already here. So what I told you, we are very proud to say that we did it the past 15 years. So if someone wants to come here in Greece, he or she will find everything ready. From a startup, plan that will help you if you want to do space-related activities, a nice ecosystem that brings together the academia and the industry, a national industrial space strategy in the ecosystem, a minister that is dealing with space, and the Hellenic Space Center that its target is to provide the strategic initiative and the strategic planning for space activities in Greece for the next 5 to 10 or 15 years. That's it. Everything is ready now.
Yeah, that's very interesting and well promising. You also collaborate with leading companies from countries such as Germany, Italy, and France. Tell us a few words about your international collaboration and what you have gained from them.
Very nice. I told you at the beginning that the first years, the space activity was under the Ministry of Education. So for us, we found a lot of support through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Greece that helped us a lot, an enterprise Greece company that helped us a lot in order to become international, to participate in a space international exhibition and start doing bilateral operations in space. Okay, so you know very well that France, Germany, Italy, and UK, they are leading the funding and the planning that we have with main European Union space and European Union and European Space Agency space mission. So these are for us the targeted countries to collaborate. You know that in Europe we have 5 or 6 LSCs, the primes, I would say, for space. We have Airbus, we have HP, we have Thales Alenia Space, we have, these are the big boys, I would say. So our main target was to try to integrate our ecosystem, and when I say ecosystem, I'm talking about the industry, into the supply chain of these big primes in Europe, Germany, in Italy, and in France. Meaning that we have to work a lot and try to invite the audit mechanisms used by these big primes in order to evaluate and to review the capabilities of the Greek space industry. Why? Because we didn't have the heritage of the space technologies made in Greece. You know, a lot of countries So especially during the Cold War, they had a lot of activities related to space, and they had developed a heritage. We didn't have this heritage here. Okay, we had to build it from the beginning. So how will you build this from the beginning? You have to bring the primes here in Greece. You have to explain to them, and you have to make them feel confident that the Greek industry is at a maturity level that they can really support the big space missions and the big space programs in Europe.
It's also you mentioned about how hard it was to persuade the Greek government to invest on the whole project. Um, do banks understand this potential and support similar initiatives and innovative actions? Because it's really important to have fundings when it comes to space innovation.
Yes. I will tell you here what is the major role that helped us in order to improve the amount of funding that we receive from the Greek government. You know, the European Union economy now is based on common rules and common planning. And all the key players in the Ministry of Economy that they perform or they participate in this planning, they have common meetings, they meet together, and they discuss in Europe about the emerging areas of investment technology. And we are very glad that we have the Greek bankers and the Greek officers from the Ministry of Finance that they recently participated in major events in the European Union where space was the main topic of activities for the economic growth of the European Union. So this means that these guys, they understood and they saw that the European Union is investing tremendous amount of money on specific innovation related to space. So when they come back to Greece, and they hear us talking about space, they don't feel like they used to do in the past that we are coming from another planet and we are a little bit green guys with funny hair and ears, but we are talking really about business. Okay, so this means that when, for example, in Luxembourg, a huge amount of the GDP is rely on the activities related to space. This means that something is really going on well in this area. So, to make a very long story short, we are able now to have positive audience and people that they really understand and they can support programs, proposals, requirements related to increased investments on space technology made in Greece.
The amounts, as you already mentioned, that the amounts in the global space market are enormous right now. Based on your extensive experience in the industry and your international contacts, how do you see space technology evolving in the coming years?
It's easy. This will come from US. Okay. The big changes are coming. Unfortunately, this is the truth. Okay. So what Elon Musk did by sending his roadster space, he put a flag saying that guys, space is nice for exploration, but space now is nice for business as well. So what I really see is that space will become the area of private planning, implementation, and application development to support specific business activities. For example, space is not space exploration, it's a scientific and government requirement, and it's government interest and government related investment. But when I have to install my company now secure communication network to support my fleet. If I'm, for example, a ship owner that has many ships running all over the world, and I need to talk to them without getting into different type of databases of service communication providers. I have now the opportunity to build my own network and operate this own network by myself, and I have full control of my system. So this is the future, meaning that space will become the area when individual companies will build their own application in order to support a specific mission. Like when we had the big development of the mobile communication, that when someone starts getting the phone outside of his home, year by year, this phone became your office. Okay. And based on this development and the new era of mobile communication, we built a new business, huge business, that affected a lot of different other activities. Space is exactly for me the bridge that will open to us another area of this kind of activities. Because for us, space is the limit. You go there and you do your business. And there you can have a lot of areas of potential application. And don't forget that for space, in space you can do defense, you can do national security, you can do environmental monitoring, you can do navigation, okay? You can do exploration, you can do a lot of things. You can do natural disaster monitoring, like floodings, forest fires, earthquakes. You can do border protection, okay? You can measure the quality of your air and water. And what's also very important that means we'll be taking more into consideration next days is the accurate weather forecast. This is something that is also coming, and this is also very important. So, in a nutshell, to answer your question, I think that this is going to be a big new thing that a lot of new business will build in this specific area.
And how do you see the Hellenic Association of Space Industry evolving in the coming years?
Yes. First of all, I would like to tell you that we are very glad that the Greek government used the COVID recovery fund in the European Union in order to finance specific activities for the development of the national economy. One of these activities is the development of a national microsatellites program. Okay, so this means that the government gives us the opportunity to put our hands on specific hardware, software, and systems that will fly in space and will perform a specific mission. So for us, it's a golden ticket, as we say, in order to help the local industry and the local ecosystem to mature fast. Okay. So this is something that the Hellenic Association of Space Industry will try to take full advantage in order to grasp all the benefits out of this opportunity. So this means that we are trying to organize our industry towards the new business of the new space activity. Okay, so this is something that for us as an association, it's very important. Second big target is that we want to use and to utilize the investments in space on technologies like, materials, IoT, software, propulsion, and sensors that they can be applied to different businesses. Like, for example, a maritime business, where the ships, the new ships that they are built now, they have a huge requirement of technologies related to this kind of system. So for us, as a nation that has a long-standing experience and history on maritime business, it's an area that we really want to invest. So this is the second. The third thing is that we would really like to support the development of the national defense industry, putting the space element into our national security plan. So for us, this is very important to have the merge or the blending of the defense and the space world and follow Greece, also what is now a norm in all Europe, that the defense and space are coming together. Okay. The fourth element of our activities is that we would like to diffuse this technology and the capabilities that we have to our schools, to the young people. You know that a few years ago, they had a big development in the Greek schools doing robotics, the STEM plan. So our target is to convince the Ministry of Education to include microsatellites or CubeSats design to the students. Because if the student at the age of 10 or 12 knows how to assemble a microsatellite or a CubeSat, I am very confident that this guy or girl will be an excellent candidate for our space ecosystem. Okay. And finally, we would like to make an open invitation to all the Greek scientists that they left Greece for the past 15 years, and especially during the financial crisis, that it's really the high time that they consider to come back to Greece and start doing their business related to space here in Greece. Because we have, as I told you, ready ecosystem, we have money, we have a plan for the next year, and a new space here. So this means that you can bring your business here in Greece, and you can have your business when you want to have your holidays, which is really, if you think about it, it's really an excellent combination. Because if you are, for example, in Germany and your mindset is that I'm waiting for summer holidays to come in Greece and spend 2 weeks, why not bring here in Greece your business and have holidays anytime that you want? And if you are a Greek, this is even more attractive. You know, space business is business that, pays a lot of money. And the return of investment of all the activities related to space is quite high. We're talking about multiplier of 7 to 10. So for every single euro that you are investing in space technologies, you are expected to receive at least 7 to 8 back. So this is a very nice business for someone that wants to invest his money. So this is what we are doing. This is what we would like to see for the next years.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting and really amazing. I hope you managed to achieve them all. Thank you, Dr. Potsis, for today's discussions. Your insights were really helpful for our audience, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you a lot. All the best. Thanks a lot.